for what we...
Waiting for 500. It's almost there.
They were still there. Getting towards the deadline, well, now they'll be working, instead of just went down in
I don't
time.
have my little tool, I'm sorry. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please join us in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we've got adjustments to the agenda until number 4, but we're going to do that first because we need to make a couple of adjustments we feel before we get into the budget process. So we're going to jump ahead to business item 6.1 and probably do 6.2, and then we'll go back to the budget stuff. Method to our madness, hopefully. So 6.1 is fire department fleet discussion.
All right, so at the last couple of meetings, we've had some discussions about the fire department in Engine 4 and Rescue 3. The big one was, do we want to get rid of those trucks, and then do we want to also look at the idea of replacing them with a mini pumper as well? So in preparation for this, and I'm sure the chief will have more to say, we have reached out and gotten some preliminary numbers for lease purchasing the mini pumper. I know that Mr. Henry had brought up the idea of setting $300,000 aside in capital this year towards the next truck. So,
Real quick, not to interrupt you, they're looking through their books. Do they have that? They don't have that information in their budget book with the lease pumper stuff.
Correct, we don't have that.
oh,
I just saw people going through their books, and I didn't know if you were looking for it.
so
Or,
these are some from
That was
the
under the capital improvement, right?
yeah. And I just got this. I'm actually gonna. Chief, could I get you to make 5 copies of something for me? The other one. I'm sorry, guys. There's one more. This has the terms. That's really all that they need. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't think to make it.
Right down underneath. Oh, okay, beautiful, I have it.
All right, so yeah, so your options are we can either put nothing aside this year, or we can put $300,000 aside this year, which was voted on the last time, or we can do the lease purchase, and you have 2 options that you'll have in front of you. The one from Republic that the fire chief got has a 3, 5, and 7-year term. I believe the entire cost of this is $419,000 for one. That's more of a spec'd out truck. And what you're going to get from Androscoggin the one you're going to get from Androscoggin just now was based on a $400,000 estimate. So obviously it's not right on the money. So what would the board like to talk about first? Would you like to talk about moving those 2 trucks? Do we want to talk about the lease purchase, the capital? Where would you guys like to go with this?
let's talk about looking at selling the 2 vehicles that we discussed, because that might hinge on whether we purchase a mini pumper in the next year or 2. I would think potentially.
Okay.
So we've discussed selling a couple of vehicles in the fleet. The 3rd ambulance, which is very rarely used, and we've had some numbers. We've all seen those numbers on on the usage. And then, I don't remember what
Engine
number
four.
truck, engine 4. I would say that I've been led to believe that we can part with those vehicles if the price is right. If we can get enough money for them, the fire department doesn't need those vehicles. But I guess, who else wants to, Scott wants to go next?
Sure. I'm sure it's no big surprise, I am not in favor of this at all. We have talked about this over the years. I guess my biggest heartburn with it all is that the thought of dropping this down to 2 engine companies, I've seen numerous times in my time here that the day crew, if it comes in as a structure fire, takes 2 engines out of here. That additional 1,000 gallons of water has saved a number of buildings in town that are currently still lived in and on the tax rolls. My fear is that if we drop to 2 engine companies, that if one's out for service, it's no big. It's not uncommon today for a fire apparatus when signed up for service to be out of service for multiple days. 5, 6, 8 years ago, you could send a truck out, have it repaired, and have it back that day. Parts were available. That is by no means the case today. I maintain a sizable fleet, and we run into problems. It can be down to the depth sensor unit, which is a big pain in the ass to every truck out there that has a depth sensor on it, because you just can't go on the shelf and get one. They have to assign your VIN number to one and have it made. I've waited for trucks to get one of those anywhere from 2 months to 4 months. And the thought, especially for, well, with the exception of one of us that lives in the Hyden district, my house, the thought of the day crew arriving here on fire at my house with only 1,000 gallons of water, which we have proven multiple times has enabled us to hold that fire and again keep that property on tax roll. I don't think you're going to do that with 1,000 gallons of water should a truck be out of service for that day. And the same with the ambulance. I know the deputy has been in favor of getting rid of that 3rd ambulance. Again, if something's out for service, repair, yep, they will provide us a loaner. There have been times when we've asked for a loaner and that's taken a substantial number of days to get here. So I have concerns over this. And for the, let's call it $5,000, I don't believe it's that, to keep both of those units in this town and benefit the citizens of this town, I'm not in favor of it. There have been a number of times when the engine up to the north end of town, there are 5 people, 4 people that live up at that end of town that can take that truck at night. That truck has made a difference because it's got fires at night. And the same with the ambulance. I don't think you're going to get the money you think you might get for it. I might be proven wrong, but again, I am not in favor of that whatsoever. Those trucks, again, you're looking at 3-4 years till you get a replacement.
Sharon?
So before I say what I have to say, engine 4, is there anything wrong with that truck?
That truck does have some mechanical issues. It is over 20 years old, well, actually it's almost 30 years old. That truck has mechanical issues. Not currently, but it has had, I think it's a situation of any vehicle that's 30 years old is destined for trouble.
Right,
And-
I understand that, but it's not a truck that is gone right now, and needs to be taken off the road, right?
Correct, no.
And if that truck goes, then we have to replace it with another one.
The plan that we're talking about right now is not replacing engine 4, is completely getting rid of engine 4, decommissioning it, and not replacing it. So I think there's some confusion. The replacement truck we're talking about is engine 5, which is the small one, which would be replaced with a mini pumper.
Is there anything wrong with engine 5?
Very tired, and we're trying to.
I know all our
Yeah.
trucks are tired, but we don't have an immediate need to replace a truck because everything we have is working, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm not in favor of this at all, and the reason,
I think you missed a point, Sharon.
I didn't miss any point, I'd like to finish, Henry, please. This is a selectmen's meeting, and I'd like to finish.
Oh, no, this is a budget meeting, I'm
Hey,
sorry.
no.
No, it is not.
We're-
Your budget, your selectmen
Quiet.
meeting is not until
Henry.
6 o'clock.
Henry, we're doing a
Did you
couple-
advertise it at 5 o'clock today?
The meeting is a
Did you?
joint meeting.
It
for
is
5
advertised
o'clock.
at 5 o'clock.
It's a joint meeting for 5 o'clock, and we're conducting a couple items of selectmen's business, because it's gonna pertain to the budget.
When you decide to have the budget meeting, you can contact me, other than that, I'm not participating. I'm sorry.
Sharon, go ahead.
I don't support this move with the fire department because our budget requires, it requires too many major purchases. And this is not something that I've thought about this a lot, that needs to be done this year. Maybe next year, but not this year. So this is why I can't support this. I don't have the expertise that Scott does in speaking on it from that angle. But from where I'm coming from is spending $300,000 this year on a vehicle that we don't need to buy this year. I'm not even supportive of a lease purchase payment for over $100,000 because of the number of items in this budget that need to be replaced. We have too many big ticket items, and I think those items are more important than this. And this came up at the very end, and I think that it needs to be, we need to wait for this until next year. And I think when you open this meeting, you asked to take items out of order at our selectmen's meeting. And so that's why I asked to continue speaking, because
I don't have any problem with you continuing.
no, I know that, and I just want everybody to know that before we actually make budget decisions, we're looking at 2 items that we may be looking at taking money from the undesignated fund balance rather than putting them in the budget, which is the reason these items were moved, and that has to happen first.
Correct.
So I want to clarify that, and I'm sorry, but I take offense to Henry's remarks and the way he's just acted.
So,
That's where I am
for the,
with this.
I just want to clarify something, because we're talking about, I think we're talking about a couple different things.
Yeah.
There's 2 vehicles in the fleet that we
Yeah.
talked about possibly selling
Yes,
and not replacing.
correct.
There's a 3rd vehicle that we're looking, the mini pumper, to
Replace.
replace a 3rd vehicle at some point.
That's correct.
Yes.
So, just so we're all clear.
If you
And I-
want
I
them,
know
if you, you through?
Yes, I am, I just let you know.
If you, one my 10 cents worth on it, 5 years ago, or whenever it was that these last rescue units come from, we were told that that rescue unit would go when the new ones got here. It never happened. No more than they got used last year, according to the numbers that we received earlier. And with all the mutual aid we got here, I mean, I just can't believe that we can't get by without it. Do I think we're gonna get a ton of money with it, to be honest with you? Probably not, but it might surprise you. I mean, did we put it on the site or we didn't?
I posted on Municipal, and I think they've got another 20 days before they close, something like that, yep.
Has there been any activity? I haven't.
Yep, there's activity, yeah, they've been getting bids and stuff, yep.
Yeah? Okay.
I mean, nothing to write home about at this point, but
Well, I'm not sure that there is nothing to write home about. But you just, you know, as far as us having a collection of antique fire trucks up there, I don't think we need it. You got mutual aid now. Our chief felt that was where we ought to go. I think we're gonna go with what they think we ought to do.
So, again, to differentiate between the potentially selling the two vehicles, I don't even think that's a decision we're gonna make tonight. We've already had them listed.
No.
The decision will be when those bids close
Yes,
and if we want to sell them at that point. And that's
Correct.
strictly a selectmen's item, not,
Correct.
nothing to do with the budget
I
committee.
think the deal with the new truck was, you told us it'd take 3 years to get one of them.
Yeah,
They're about,
30 months, yep.
so we talked something about putting some money, either getting some money aside or deciding where we were going with that program is basically the discussion on that, I think. So,
And I think that the budget committee, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, at the last meeting voted to do $300,000
This year
this year
versus.
for fire
next year,
truck
if I remember correctly.
reserve or purchase, yeah. So, yeah.
So, go ahead.
Could I respond to something?
Sure.
You had mentioned, we do have a lot of old antique fire trucks out there. And unfortunately, due to the lead time of a truck, so if we order one, let's say we were to order it May 1st, we're not gonna see it for 2.5 to 3 years. At that point, my thought process is the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the road. The problem is all the apparatus out there are so old. We need to offset that at some point. So I appreciate waiting another year, but if we keep waiting another year, we're never gonna get ahead of the process and offset the age of the trucks. And what my biggest concern is if we have all these old trucks that we're trying to maintain, my fear is we have some sort of catastrophic failure and now we're leaning on mutual aid even more and we still have to wait 2.5 to 3 years to get a truck. So yes, does it need to be replaced right this moment? No, engine 5 will still run, will still go on calls and do its job. But at some point, we need to start putting in place that plan down the road so we have trucks at varying ages, so we don't come into a situation like we're in right now, where all the fleet is old. So if we order that mini pumper, per se, at least we have one on the line that will get here in 2.5 to 3 years. Hopefully with the money that you hopefully choose to set aside, it will be paid for, and then we can start working on the next one. That again, as we talked about last time, one of the big engines is 4 years out. So at some point, we're gonna have to start staggering apparatus. And the longer we wait, the more emergent the situation will be.
Question. If we decide to order a mini pumper on May 1st, or whatever day we may decide to do that, how much money do we need to put down to place that order?
0.
Yeah, I
You
think,
don't have to make a down payment.
So, and at what point do we have to make a payment? Is when we receive the truck, we just pay for it all?
You can, or you can do the lease stuff.
Well, I'm, for one, not interested in a lease purchase. If we're not gonna have a truck for 3 years, I think if we can't come up with $350,000 to $400,000 for a fire truck in 3 years here, we're not doing something right. So, that's my opinion. I don't wanna spend an extra $60,000 or $70,000 to lease purchase, when we should be able to put that money aside if we don't have to pay for that truck until we receive it.
from Androscoggin Bank, annual payment amounts for, depending on, but the first payment is a year after the closing, so a year after taking, a year after the closing, so signing the paperwork.
What I say makes sense, that if the budget committee wants to put $100,000 aside this year, or 150, or whatever amount, it is this year potentially, and next year we're in the same boat, and we could potentially all be sitting in these same chairs next year, knowing that we've ordered a fire truck, we're gonna have to pay for this fire truck, but to save the town $60,000 or $70,000 in the long run, we need to have the money to pay for it when that truck comes in, or we're gonna pay more for it over 4 or 5 years. And to me, that doesn't make sense with the amount of money we have coming into this town.
The Republic, is this lease purchase or is this outright purchase?
I think that's just options. Right?
The Republic was lease purchase.
These are two lease purchase options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sharon?
So I agree with what you're saying, Dana, but what I'd like to add is, I would like to see the fire department, rescue department sit down and put together a long-term plan from now for a 10-year plan for a replacement. Where is she? I would like to see the fire department and rescue department sit down and put together a long-term plan, 5 to 10 years, what has to be replaced in that period of time, and budget out every year what needs to be budgeted to get the vehicles that you need. This, as far as I'm concerned, has been a rushed up deal, and I don't like making decisions by the seat of my pants, or however you want to call it. And I don't think enough planning has been put on the table to say, we have a 10-year plan, these are the vehicles that need to be replaced in these particular years, and this is the amount of money that it's gonna cost, and this is how much we have to set aside each year to get that. And I think before, unless that's done, I'm not willing to commit to putting any amount of money this year. I think that plan needs to be worked on this coming year, and then it needs to be discussed with the town manager and the plan. You look at our 10-year plan, there's no money any place in the 10-year plan to replace anything we need. And I think that that needs to be looked at, and it needs to be planned out. And for the items that we've been talking about that have to be replaced for safety reasons and other reasons, there are more urgent things that we need to look at spending money for this year. And whatever has to be done now, we need to look at taking that money from the undesignated fund balance instead of from the budget process, so that those safety things can be happen right now. It's not that I don't think we need those, because I know there's an aging fleet, but there's no long-term plan has been put together, and I think more time needs to be taken to put that plan together, and that has not been done.
Chief, if I could do that, can you tell me the current status of NP5?
In what regard?
Does it still have a pump and a water tank?
It does not have a pump or a water tank on it.
And secondly, just to jump on what Sharon was going on. I agree that we need a plan, but I also agree that we need to sit there and seriously look at what impacts. I get it that mutual aid is, I think we need to see whether you do it as a committee or we have a meeting now and then, but I think we need to seriously think about the consequences of what we do with that, so.
I think, you done, Scott?
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt you.
John?
The thought process when the budget committee recommended to move the 300,000 from next year to this year was to put that money aside so that a new engine 5 could be ordered. But correct me if I'm wrong, capital improvement is approved by the selectmen, correct?
So these last few years, we've had the fortune of being able to use the unassigned fund, the fund balance to make a lot of capital purchases. That fund balance is not going to be as plentiful as it has in the past. So because of that, we're having to look at bringing a bulk of the capital purchases directly to town meeting. So that's why it's a little bit different of a discussion than you've seen since I've been here.
All right.
I just have a question. So the document that we looked at when we were having this discussion last week, it is a capital plan that goes out to 2034. So this reads to me like a 10-year plan, but you're saying there's no 10-year plan. So I'm just wondering what the basis was for this. It feels like there was some thought and some forward looking and thinking that went into when this equipment would have to be replaced, and there are amounts in here, suggested for which years to reserve them. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding what this document reflects.
So Sharon can certainly correct me if I misspeak on this, but I think that, yes, there's a 10-year plan that was worked on with the previous fire chief. And I think that some of the goals and objectives of the new administration may be slightly different with adjustments and so forth. And I think that even this discussion of a mini pumper is much different than the discussions we were having with the previous administration. So I think, would you agree with that, Sharon, that that's?
Yes, and I'm not saying there's no 10-year plan because it's there. What I'm saying is the current administration now is changing what is right there. And I just think that you can't change a plan within a couple of meetings and say, we're not going to work on this plan that we originally put down, we're going to do this one. And to take $300,000 this year when it wasn't in the plan out of from next year, and if we have all of these vehicles that have to be replaced, then maybe the new administration needs to look at how the 10-year plan is going to be done. And that's not what's reflected in the documents that we have right there.
But I would think if we had one out of the way, we'd be starting in the right direction.
So,
I mean, if you wanna look at it and figure out how we go from there, I get it. But we got a problem now, and if I'm mistaken, this engine 5, or the one you wanna replace the mini pumper, is the small Ford, right?
Correct.
Which doesn't have a pump on it anymore, anyway, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, it's useless to us. It's
but engine
time
5 is the
to-
one to replace the mini pumper, not the one we're just looking to sell.
So engine 4 is the one looking to be sold and not replaced.
Yeah.
Once it's gone, it's gone. Engine 5 is the small
It's
Ford.
the one she's keeping to get by with.
Correct.
Yep, that we're using for transfer station runs, that we're using, like, it was very handy Thursday for storms because we can put barricades in the background cones, we save wear and tear on the bigger trucks. It's useful to
It's useful for other things.
Yep, so we are still using it, and that's what primarily gets used. But yeah, I agree with Mr. Fick, like, at some point we have to kind of bite the bullet and start replacing
But
things.
engine 5 now is more like a squad truck.
Yeah, essentially, or utility truck, kind of, as the
Alright.
town manager said.
I mean, we don't have to go to the 300, but if we took 100 this year
Right,
and get the thing ordered, you gotta start somewhere.
But
It'll
you
be
just
here
said
for
you
years.
didn't have to pay anything this year.
correct. You don't have to pay.
So if we don't have to make a down payment, then why would we put $100,000 for that down payment when we need that $100,000 for other things?
So I see both sides of that, Sharon, and I look at the 10-year plan 1 second and see $2.2 million worth of fire truck apparatus over our 10-year plan. And to me, the simple math is we should be putting $220,000 aside every year. So we don't have a year where we don't put anything aside, and then we have a year in 2 years from now that we need $750,000 all at once. That's how I would budget it.
I mean, it's not gonna go away.
And then the other thing is, they are placeholders. So, for example, the prices that you see that the town manager passed out, I've already been informed, it's a 7% increase every month. So, he said if you don't order this truck by the 26th, which gives them time to put it in their computer system, so it's actually ordered by May 1st, every time we wait, it's another 7% because that's the rapid rate that apparatus is increasing. The other thing, Mr. Hunter, that you mentioned that I want to address is I don't take operational changes minimally. I do understand that it is an operational change. Yes, I'm relying on mutual aid, but what call company and per diem department doesn't? But we have tankers on either side of us. Yes, 1,000 gallons does make a difference, but the good news about this new pumper is it has a pump that's 1,250 gallons per minute. I know that you know that that's a big deal. I mean, we got to start somewhere, and I didn't take this lightly. I didn't think, oh, let's just cut trucks to cut trucks. yes, I'm relying on mutual aid, but unfortunately, we don't have the call company we did when I started here. We don't have people coming from home. We do, but not minimally. We're relying on our staffing and the departments around us. So we're not getting all those trucks out the door. I would like to say that we are, but we're not. And I don't want you to think that I'm making operational changes with a drop of a hat, because I very much care about the town and the coverage.
And forgive me if Chief or if that's not what I intended to put across. My comments were is that the deputy has wanted to do this for several years. We've been down this road 3 times prior to this, and it doesn't work out. And I know in his paperwork he showed that I assume that we brought up, well, I know in my full-time job, we get calls weekly wanting to know that. I know when I was here, we got calls quite often going like, where's the closest fire station, where's the closest water supply? So we still get those calls, and those still affect the taxpayers' fire insurance rate. So I think decreasing the department, and honestly, as a taxpayer, as long as that truck is available to respond for what it costs us, that little amount every year, I like that. And again, if we could rely on our mutual aid towns to be there, and we could guarantee that there would be 2 trucks responding out of this station every time, I'd probably be with it. But you can't guarantee me that. You can, and again, going back to the biggest part that worries me about this is that if a truck goes out for service, we're down to 2 engines, we're leaving with 1,000 gallons of water for a structure fire during the day. And I've just seen it happen too many times here in town, and that's been one of the benefits of having the per diem staff, is that we've been able to respond with enough water and get water on the fire to save the structure site. So again, that's my concern. If we can figure this out, but there have been numerous times where we waited for it mutually, because we're the only one in the area, as you know, other than Poland, that staffs. So
South Paris has 2 people on, so they are getting trucks on the road quick, and their chief's right there. But
Joe, you had your hand up. I don't know if you still had a...
2 things, please, Dana. First, as far as the conversation, there's, again, as was pointed out at the beginning, 2 different issues being discussed. To either maintain or sell off 2 vehicles. The other is what both parties, select board and the budget committee, are interested in, which is funding new trucks. So I would respectfully request that we redirect the conversation to that issue, and then perhaps at a different select board meeting, the discussion of whether or not to sell off those other 2 trucks could be followed forward at that point, if that's agreeable to the select
I'm
board. The
good with that. I
reason
don't-
being, it doesn't seem that that's a different issue, number 1. Number 2, that from what we've been led to believe, the amount of funds drawn from that sale, if it's approved by the select board, is not going to be significant enough to significantly impact the rest of the discussion that's going on. So that's my first request. The question that I had is just to support Dana on his issue, that when I'm looking at the 10 years, looking at over $2 million, and 1 year 750,000, another 300, another 500,000, another 500,000. When the chief mentions the cost increases on a month-over-month basis, it seems to me that even $100,000 in this year's budget is way below what we would need to do. And I would suggest that capital budget for the fire department, Sharon alluded to, needs to be reworked for the longer term to account for not just the total amount that's in there now, to avoid any single year hits that are not affordable, but also too, to factor in the real cost increases that year over year deferrals are going to incur to the town via those purchases, if it ends up being purchase route that's selected. So I just want to put that out there, that whatever we're talking this year is probably going to be underfunding regardless. What ultimately the select board decides to fund, that's a conversation I'll leave to the select board. But I just want to go ahead, two different issues, two different conversations, and then at least the one that budget committee's involved in with funding the capital budget suggestions, it'll probably need to be more than the figures that have been discussed. So, thanks.
That's real quick.
Yeah, I just have a very brief, and then to follow up on what Joe said is, I mean, looking at this, I don't think it does anybody any favors to ever have a year where the amount is 0, because it just hurts you in another year. So, you know, in looking at this 10-year plan, the up and down, I don't think is doing us any favors. There needs to be something in there every year when you know what the total amount is going to be, or that it's going to be higher.
That was my point. Now, to be fair to the town manager, there could be other budgets that have, when there's a 0 year in the fire department, there could be other budgets that have substantial capital costs in some of the other capital lines. Without looking at all of them together, it's hard to tell, but it's a moving target, I think. The costs keep going up, but I would concur that we need to put some money aside, and I don't think anybody up here disagrees that we need to start putting money aside for the fire department and other capital improvements.
Sooner than later.
We just need to decide how much it's gonna be this year and how much it's gonna be next year and go forward, but it needs to be something. Now, so, any other things
Because
on?
I mean, you're looking at, if you put no money aside this year, you're looking at 100,000 next year, 750,000 the following year, and another 300,000 in 27, 28. So, you know, you're looking at over $1 million in 3 years.
Real quick, last word. Nothing? Because we're gonna come back to this when it comes time to vote on the budget, so.
I was just gonna suggest.
Real quick, to 6.2, the review and award recycle building structural, put my glasses on, remediation bid.
All right, in short, the Board of Selectmen, you guys remember taking the tour over the transfer station and seeing the wall in the back of the recycle building that was disconnected down at the bottom. So we contacted an engineer who came, he designed a repair for both repairing the wall and then putting up like a load wall to be able to, is that saying that right, to push up against? Yeah, for those bales. So the bid for that is $43,500. So that's what you're seeing in front of you. We don't have money in the operating account for that currently. I see this as a two-part approach, which is why we're talking about it now. One, we wait till town meeting and raise and appropriate the funds then. Or if the board feels that this is something that's urgent that needs to be addressed immediately, we could turn to the fund balance policy account that we've done before, which currently has 1.1 million in it, as I've put in your packets. So I just want to make a couple quick comments and then I'll leave it alone. I do feel like the wall is definitely a safety issue for the structure of the building, so we do need to make this a priority. I also feel a great deal of caution with going dipping too much further into that fund balance amount, just because I think that we just don't want to cut ourselves short for cash flow and availability if an emergency comes up. I'm not saying this is not an emergency, I'm just saying that if the board chooses to fund this project this way, I mean, of course, that's your decision. But I would be very cautious about looking at these other capital purchases and diving too far into this fund balance.
Is this, I'm foreign to this, is this doing everything or is this just fixing the wall? Just the wall. The 43.5 is strictly the wall.
This is fixing the wall, but installing the load wall, right? Yeah.
Right, no, but I know we talked about other improvements
Oh, this no bathroom, no, none of that.
Okay,
This is the wall.
okay, all right,
Sorry,
all right.
Lloyd, I didn't understand what you're saying.
You started talking and I got confused, but, yeah, I mean, if it's bad, it's a safety issue, we gotta deal with it.
We had 5 different people come and look at it, and only 1 bid come in, so,
Yep. And Pratt's done work for this town.
yeah, they've done the wall, the other walls inside.
So, not to put you on the spot, your recommendation was
I think it's a safety issue. I think we should address it now.
fund balance.
Fund balance.
And
I'll
that's
make a
not-
motion to do it that way.
Second.
Ford, motion, Sharon, second. Further discussion. All those in favor? Vote. Moving on.
Thank you.
I'm going to defer to, I don't know who actually is your chair, if you have a chair. If somebody wants to take a moment and call Mr. Jackson, if you don't, he's a budget committee member, he's not a select board member, so I don't feel it's our responsibility to call him. If you want to call him, call him. We'll take a pause. If you don't, and you want to move on, we'll move on.
Move on.
Adam.
Okay. All right, so I guess what I envisioned for tonight is that we would start right at the top. And because we had been, what is the term you guys use? Parking?
Parking.
Everything. So do you want to start at the administrative budget?
Yep.
And then if everything is approved as written with the administrative budget, it's a total budget of $934,661, which is a $137,000 increase. And I don't know how much detail do you guys want me to?
Pretty much discussing it all.
Yep.
So, did you have updated sheets?
So I did not do updated sheets for, I've updated my totals because when we discussed it before, rather than print off 50 sheets over and over again, that's why I was reading the numbers off. I'm sorry, Sharon.
So, Scott has the total you just said, I do not.
I got it. Can you reread the total, Adam?
Oh,
So
it's,
you're looking at, that's the whole town budget.
Yeah.
He's looking at just the admin page.
oh, okay,
So if you go to the admin tab.
yeah,
I'm sorry, Sharon.
that's okay.
Do that one more time, Adam.
Yes. So total administration is $934,661.
Any discussion? Guess I'll take a motion then.
Move to approve the admin budget as presented.
I second.
All in favor? Oh, it's your turn.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 934,661.
Second,
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor? Vote. Next.
All right, I'll move on to the police department budget. Now,
Do we need to do the capital on that, or is that select board?
if you don't mind if we do all the operations first, it'll be easier for me with my computer.
All right,
All right. It's really about me, if you really want to know.
it's all about you there.
Yeah. All right, so for police department, the thing to remember about the police department is the police chief has requested an additional officer. So your police department total with current staffing is $1,146,746. If you add the additional officer, you've got $1,232,111. Is the difference.
There's a difference in what we're printing, right?
Yep, so it's $85,000 as the additional full-time officer.
So 1,000, without was 1,000,
1,146,000.
48.
746. And do you want the number with?
Yep.
Yes.
With is 1,232,111.
Any discussion on that? Take a motion.
No pressure.
Move to approve the police budget with the one additional officer.
Yes,
So,
second.
1,232,111. Moved, seconded.
Second.
All approved, all in favor?
I'll make a motion, we approve the police department budget with the added officer for $1,232,111.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Is this other officer on here, this has got nothing to do with the K-9 deal, correct?
nothing to do with it. This is for additional help on our, what I call crossover ship.
And then when this K-9 deal comes along, there'll be another one.
No, there'll be an existing officer that we currently have.
Good.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Let's vote. Next.
Highway Department. So, remember the Highway Department also had one additional crew member, which was the amount of $66,889. But remember that the foreman discussed, I discussed as well, we kind of collectively feel like that's something that should wait till next year. That was our feeling at the time, especially because we're looking at trying to like a mechanic and that kind of stuff. So just with that, bear that in mind. When we go to the total, without the new person, $903,086, so 903,086. With the additional employee, $980,091, so 980,091.
Question, discussions? Take a motion.
Move to approve highway budget without additional.
Second.
Moved and seconded for the 903,086. All in favor?
I'll make a motion to move it without the extra money.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? Let's vote.
Fire rescue. Rolling here. So fire rescue for operations, we have $1,071,671. So 1,071,671 for a total department budget. That includes the chief's proposal at the last meeting to increase the salary line based on her studies, as well as adding $5,000, back into the vehicle maintenance line. So that is a little more than your sheets reflect because I updated it since we spoke.
Questions? Take a motion.
All right.
Gotcha.
I move we approve the budget as presented, which would include the additional salary and the additional $5,000 in the vehicle maintenance.
Second. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Motion?
Make a motion to approve $1,071,671.
Second it.
Motion and a second, Mr. Hunter. Discussion? All those in favor? Let's vote.
Public safety buildings, 72,859.
Question? Take a motion.
I move we approve the budget at the amount that Adam just stated.
Second.
favor?
$72,809, $859.
Hey,
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor? Vote.
Recreation. Recreation budget amount is $155,086, so 155,086.
And that still includes the summer help, right?
Yeah, what that includes that one individual for the summer help that we talked about at the beginning. However, this moves the activities and summer rec into the capital
Correct.
side. Yep. So you'll see that again
Yep.
when we get there.
155,086. Wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 155,086.
Second. All in favor?
I'll make a motion that we approve the department budget 155,086.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? To vote.
Yeah, general assistance, $14,256, 14256.
Motion?
Move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
I make a motion to approve the 14256.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor? To vote.
Transfer station. Transfer station operations, we have a total of 534,489. 534,489.
I make a motion, we go for 524,489.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Make a motion we approve 534,489.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor? Sorry, Sherry, ahead of you. Got ahead of you. Sewer?
All right, wastewater treatments. And just so you guys know, some of these are a little bit different than what you see because I updated the fuel numbers. That's why you're seeing little tweaks there. So, sewer department, 430,952. So 430,952.
That includes the changes in the gas and propane.
Yes.
Move to approve.
I second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Motion?
Make a motion to approve 430,952 for sewer.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? Vote.
Now, when we look into the municipal budget, can we approve budget minus the third party, do them separate?
Do you we could do that, or I think last year I actually went through them like individually and then total them, meaning like insurance and all that. So does that work?
Yep, that'll work.
All right, yeah. Why don't we do that, and then there's no confusion because it can.
All right,
So, insurance, 104,799. That's the liability.
all right.
Do you want to do individual motions, or you want me to just?
Keep going.
Okay. And then we've got, we'll skip library and third party, you're saying? Or do you want to do library?
Do library.
We'll do library.
Library, $48,028.
Yep.
Shelter, animal shelter fee, $6,932. Electricity, $2,340, that's for street lights and traffic lights. Maintenance, this is street light maintenance and repairs, 2,000. Water, quarterly hydrants is 63,100. And unemployment insurance, 2,169.
And now, out of the third-party requests, how many have fallen within the policy of this year's request?
So your Seniors Plus, Androscoggin Home Healthcare, Cancer Resource Center of Maine, who did make an appearance here last meeting, Tri-County Mental Health, they've submitted their paperwork and financials and such. The Oxford Historical Society provided us with their information. And yeah, so all, I believe, we could double check at the books here real quick, but I believe all of them have submitted what they're supposed to be submitting. I'd like to double check on one of them.
Yeah, I don't think, Adam, when I looked through these.
Yeah, there's like the bottom two.
Wasn't there a couple that didn't show?
They did not show.
There was a lot that didn't show.
Right.
They don't have to show, they're supposed to
Right.
provide certain
But in terms
information.
of submit,
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that, Alice.
So what is the status also with Tri-County Mental Health? Didn't, wasn't
Tri-County
there?
being bought out by Sperling.
Yes. I know, that's why I said that.
so how does that impact?
Well, this request is from Tri-County, not from Sperling, who have bought them out. That's why I said that.
So does that impact how it's viewed, or are they a subsidiary of Spurwink and still providing the same services to?
Well, if they're
our
bought out, they
residents?
no longer exist. So, do we know that?
I don't know the stats.
I don't think anybody knows what their intention is. I believe they've advertised and announced that they intend on providing the services that Tri-County used to provide, but there's nothing
don't.
that's gonna hold them to
Right.
that. If they decide it's not a feasible operation, then
So, not that I have a say, because I don't, but I will say that, you know, last year, the selectmen in the budget committee and town meeting looked at Seniors Plus, Androscoggin Home Health, Cancer Resource, and Tri-County. I mean, it seems consistent that we have moved on those. The Oxford Historical Society is a new request. I know that the selectmen did have some conversations with the Historical Society, and there was some encouragement for that nonprofit that's in town to put in a request. So I just would put that little plug in there for them.
I didn't see in the packet, I may have overlooked it, a request from Androscoggin Home Health, even though we have historically given to them, they've requested in the past, I did not see it.
They did not submit anything this year, that's why it's 0, yep. Last year was 500.
So if there wasn't a request, do we need to consider that?
there's no request to consider.
That's my question.
Probably should have left them off, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's not in the listing, but you've mentioned it, so.
So if we did but Seniors Plus, Cancer Research, skipping Tri-County, and the Historical Society, yeah, 6,000, correct? Our
Well,
math is correct?
The thing is, the policy limits it to 2,000, so historical's
so-
asking for 3.
So we'd have to drop this, it'd be down to 5,000, because you're going to 2,000.
And when I was looking at it too, you know, besides the policy things, because I'm trying to get most return on investment and cost per resident taxpayer. And when I break them out, you know, the ones that we're talking about, the Seniors Plus, Cancer Resources, minimal cost per Oxford resident, you're looking at anywhere from 2 cents to 44 cents a person. In other words, town resident And when you look at the volume of Oxford residents that they're serving, Seniors Plus, it's a little over $10 per actual resident served that this costs. Cancer Resources, you can't figure that because they don't provide those numbers. And then Tri-County Mental Health, which sounds like it's off the table for the reasons that were brought, is $8.92 per service resident at a cost of 11 cents per Oxford resident. So to me, those are pretty darn good return on investment for social support services that the town and state don't offer our local residents. But since the Tri-County Mental Health sounds like it's off the table, I would be supportive of the Seniors Plus Cancer Resources Center, and then support Oxford Historical at 2,000.
Is that a motion?
That's 5,000 altogether, right?
2, 3, 4, 5 total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a motion?
Consider a motion.
I will second that motion.
All in favor of the 5,000? All right, now moving on.
May I ask you clarifying? I'm sorry, sir.
I didn't know if you wanted us to do that, or you're gonna do the whole thing and then,
Well, it doesn't matter.
whatever.
We can
Drive
do the
on.
rest of it.
Drive on.
I was gonna ask Adam, the math is what the bottom line is now.
Yeah, if I can ask a quick clarifying question? Just want to make sure I understood the motion. Seniors Plus 2,000,
Yes,
Cancer Resource Center of Maine 1,000,
yes,
and then Oxford Historical Society 2,000.
yes.
Okay. Let me just make a quick note. Thank you for the clarification.
So that should add 1,000 to the total budget.
So that should, yeah. So those 5.
Take the 20,000, $7 off.
All right. Yeah, so that brings us to a total for that shebang now for the municipal services to $234,368.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll take a motion on that. 234, 368.
I'll make a motion on 234, 368.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
It's the board's wishes.
Make a motion to approve 234, 368 now.
Second.
Motion and
Just
second.
nobody seconded.
Discussion? Discussion? All those in favor? Let's vote.
Debt service.
Yeah, it does. All right, sorry about that, just clarifying for the minutes. All right, so now we have debt service. Debt service, raise and appropriate $640,295, so 640,295.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Make a motion to approve 640, 295.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote.
So I think that gets us through the bulk of our, that's the operations, right? If I missed anything here? I think so.
This is good on that.
All right, I'm gonna slide over to capital. All right, so I'll make sure I don't. Not that I would confuse myself.
Be pretty easy to do.
Thank you, Flip. All right, so Under general capital items, we've got cemetery, maintenance reserve, and Thompson Lake Dam Reserve. So 5,000 for cemeteries, 10,000 for Thompson Lake, for a total of 15,000.
So you're gonna have to tell me which capital one you're on.
You're on that very first page? That has everything, is that what you're going on?
Yep, I did make a.
So the big.
Here, this one's got fresh, just the cover sheets. The second page of that is the capital cover sheet that has the totals from all of the capital requests. Now keep in mind the totals that you're gonna see on these capital requests includes the $300,000 we were talking about for the truck, so. If it's easier for folks, I can just go by this sheet right here and just start at the top and work our way down and do each thing individually. Alright, let's do that. Thank you, Sheriff. Alright, so let's start over again. The first item at the top is the vehicle section. So under vehicles, the first request is $60,000 or a police vehicle. We've been doing that is what we've been doing every year is the yearly replacement.
Question? You want to approve each one separately?
I think that would be nice, please.
All right.
Before we start on budget committee, historically what we've done was the select board to decide if any of these were gonna come out of reserve fund rather than the tax cycle. So I don't know if the select board wants to tackle that first. If there's any of these items that are gonna get pulled out of the annual budget and they want to pay for them through other funds.
Do you think the advantageous thing to do, maybe the board will do the motions on this first and then we can just, if there's anything that.
Because what's presented to us to vote on is gonna be different if they pull things off the table for alternative funding.
I think a bulk of what you're gonna see here is, until we get to the transfer station and that repair, to the wall that was awarded earlier, I think you're gonna find that, the rest are gonna be all town meeting items, I believe.
So I don't mind having a discussion, there's, after the 43,500 for the wall at the transfer station, there's 1.134 million left in fund balance. Is there any flavor on using any of that towards any of these capital items before we put them to the budget?
Not crazy about it.
I'll entertain a motion if anybody so chooses to.
Make a motion not to.
Second.
Motion and a second to go forward. All those in favor? So,
Okay, thanks for the clarity.
Okay, so we're back to the, police vehicle for the police department, 60,000.
Take a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
make a motion to approve the 60,000.
Second.
Discussion, I just had a question for the chief. We just finished the F-150 that you had ordered. Does this include just the purchase, or is it the equipment too?
We tried to factor in the equipment to make it better.
I know it's different price for different vehicles, so. And that's adequate, you feel? Hopefully.
Yeah, try not to go too overboard, but be realistic in what we need to buy for equipment. Yes.
All those in favor? It's a vote.
Fire truck. I labeled this as fire truck savings. and potentially a mini pumper. And based on last week's discussion, I put $300,000. For clarification, the budget committee voted on $300,000 last meeting. I don't know if there's an appetite to make any changes there, if you want to stick to that.
Is it specifically for mini pumper, or to be put in for truck reserves?
I'm calling it a fire truck savings or truck reserve. Yeah.
I'm fine with what you took, unless there was
Take a motion.
different opinion. Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor of putting 300,000 aside for truck savings or opposed?
I'll make a motion for 300,000 in the fire truck reserve.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Let's vote.
Now moving to capital expenditures over 10,000. The sewer department would like a generator for the Pigeon Hill pump station. That's $61,550.
What are they using now?
Do you want to answer that?
Yes, we have kind of like portable generator, but there are some issues with it, like not mechanical, but electrical issues. And it's like A, less than convenient, B, like there can be a situation that one person cannot move, like really to the place, and it's not safe. And generally speaking, like originally, when the design of the sewer system was built, there was a provision for the generator at the Pigeon Hill. Well, I'm asking for Pigeon Hill, especially like it's a super important pump station, because of the casino discharging into it. So casino has their own generators, so that they don't care about the CMP power. All this stuff will be coming to me. Something happened, I can't bring the generator in. That's what will happen. Like 26 will be.
Backed up.
It'd be up to
I don't think I need
Columbia
to
Creek.
continue. We can take this. So, generally speaking, my option will be like if really outage will be way too long, like I can't do it, like it's to pretty much shut down the casino. Or we'll have tremendous problems with DEP.
So can I just ask a question? I know this is budget. This generator you've got, so you've got it, but it doesn't work right?
Well, it does, but we need different plugs. The weight of the plugs,
I mean, we couldn't get a new plug?
the way it was built, like it's a 75 pounds, and wire itself like 100 pounds, and you have to change plug and wire to different pump stations because one of them is 3-phase, like 480 volts, other one is 277 3-phase, other like old town office pump station is 120 volt single phase. So it's kind of like a lot of different.
So the plug's no good? Or the generator's no good? That's what I'm trying to figure
No,
out.
generator is good, but you need 2 people to do it. And like, I'm looking for the situation that there's like something happened to Jeff, something happened to me. And one person cannot operate that generator.
And the new one would be different?
This one is a mobile unit, so it's one for all the pump stations. This is the one I'm asking for, is the unit which will be set right at the pump station, like on the foundation, and it will be dedicated to the Pigeon Hill only.
It'll stay right there.
It's like a standby generator for the
It's a
building.
standby generator for the Pigeon Hill pump station.
And the one that's there, we get rid of?
After we will replace or put standby generators on all other pump stations, we can get rid of.
So currently, just if this is clarifying, we have one standby generator that's on wheels. So we move it around to whichever pump station needs it. And what he's trying to do over the next 10 years is make it so that each of the pump stations has its own standby generator. That's the long-term plan. But Pigeon Hill, due to the volume that it sees, he thinks it's the first one that should be done. So
But when we do that, do we put a building up for it too?
the standby generator,
Yeah.
it'll be no different than, you correct me,
No,
but it's just like the one out behind here.
Will be set like on the foundation.
Like a
It
generator.
has like a tank underneath
Mm-hmm.
for the diesel fuel and then generator on top, and then transfer switch, automatic transfer switch. So it will be, if you can recall the Pigeon Hill pump station where the mailboxes is, they have a little parking area and that's where the generator will go. It will be unit, like it's not mobile unit.
Like a real nice generator that some people have in their backyard.
Yeah, 60 grand, doesn't it?
Takes a little bit
Well,
more power than.
Depends on the pump station, the prices are different. Like, I think Adam has our capital plan, and like for town office, for example, which is not very important pump station, old town office, generators will be like, what, $4,200 with installation?
Yeah,
It's tiny.
I'm looking right now.
It all depends on the pump station, like how much power it needs.
This is the biggest generator.
That's the biggest one, yes.
Here we
Like with Oxford planes, like I don't have much flow, so I wouldn't be even asking anytime soon for anything. My next concern will be
Roller rig?
town center, the Robinson Way, because if the redevelopment of Robinson Mill will happen, you can't tell 80 people like who live there, that like guys like, you know what, don't flush your toilets till the father notice, you know, and like so that one will bring roller rink one because they're working in pair, you know. So I mean priority might change, but like that's what it looks right now for me.
Questions? Over?
The casino shut down, we're not getting any revenue from the casino, so this seems like a no-brainer to me.
Alright.
So I move that we approve $61,550 for backup generator for the
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Opposed?
Motion to approve 61,550 for the backup generator.
Second.
Motion and second discussion. All those in favor? Vote.
Transfer station, the baler. This is for the recyclables. 170,184.
And they provided a new bill.
Yep, you want to speak to that, Ed?
So it's, the one that we have in there has been the original one since the town took the building over. We've already dumped, almost $20,000 in it in the last 2.5 years trying to keep it running. And just from last year to this year, we held it over from budget last year, we rolled it over, it went up $24,000. So it's just like this 7 or 8% that she was talking about, fire truck. It's in the equipment, it's just keeps going up. And if the baler goes down, all recycling is gonna be done. We're gonna have to pay to get rid of it.
What
I mean-
recycling goes through the baler?
Your cans, your cardboard, your plastic, milk jugs, everything that goes in the windows, all through that baler gets filled up. And then we send it out and sell it.
And then what's our annual revenue from the
I
recyclables?
think right now, almost 50,000 we've taken in the transfer station recycling, and we're way high at the transfer station.
And what's the life expectancy of the baler?
I'm hoping 25, 30 years.
Realistically?
How many years you got on that
How
one?
old is the old?
That's 32 years old. So that's what I'm saying, it
Yeah.
was due last year, but we pushed it along, you know?
Thank you.
And this will have to go out to bid when it comes time. We've been talking to companies, that's how we got the figure, but maybe we can get it cheaper, you know? That's what we'll ask for and go from there.
Take a motion, I guess.
Move to approve the baler.
$170.
71. I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Motion to approve the bill.
Discussion? All those in favor? Let's vote.
All right, next item is the set of 3 tasers for the police department, $16,728.
How old are the current tasers?
13, 14 years. They're old, they don't even.
You still got the ones that I bought?
Pretty sure.
It's time that.
So you want a motion for 16,
Yes.
728? I'll make a motion for 16, 728. Now, is that times 3?
Yes,
That's the 4 for all 3.
That's the total for
for
all
all
3.
three.
Yep.
So we have a motion, second. All in favor?
Motion to approve the 16,728.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor? Let's vote.
The next item, now, this is the front end loader for the highway department. Now, the number that I'm looking at here is 72,533, but that's based on the 4-year lease purchase. So, I don't know if we want to talk about that more before we do any approvals on that, but my thought process for being able to replace the loader but have a not horrible impact on the tax rate was going with a 4-year lease purchase approach. Any thoughts on that at all from anybody?
So
or-
this is per year for 4 years, the 72.
Mhm.
What's the outright purchase cost?
Let me flip to that page here. That should be in your book, but under CIP for highway.
I'm supposed to read
Find it.
So loader, it's this is the John Deere. There we are. So here it looks like this sheet here.
That's correct.
So it gives you your 3 options, 36 months, 48 months, or 60 months. And total payments by the time you're done paying for this bad boy, if you went with this approach, would be $290,128 and 84 cents.
Am I correct? The net selling price was around 260.
The net price, yeah, is $266,000.
Yep.
Now, we talking moving the old one down to the transfer station afterwards? Is that what the deal is?
I think that's what was discussed, yep. Unless that doesn't want it.
Floyd knows my feeling on that.
Yeah, I know what's going on. I was asked what we're gonna do with it.
Yeah, I think that'd be the best thing to do.
Oops.
You're gonna need some more budget money for maintenance then, right?
Hopefully not as much as you're doing now.
Well, I got a feeling that he's getting rid of it for a reason. I'm gonna get the maintenance.
So that would be my question is, if that one's, what's the condition of, in comparison to the one Ed has now, to the one that he would get from the highway department? And I'm sure there's money in the budget for the maintenance for the one you have now. What would the maintenance be for the other one if you take the other one?
I'm not sure what's wrong with it. Anything wrong with it, Jim?
Not that I know of at this point.
At this point?
I've been here 4 or 5 years and pretty much just done oil services, and I did have to have the brake pedal mechanism replaced 2 years ago. But it's been really great. It hasn't cost a lot of money to maintain it. I mean, I obviously can't tell you what's gonna happen tomorrow, but it is, I mean, it's 14 years old, it's got 12,000 hours on it.
What do you have for miles and hours?
Mine is a 2002, and it's only got 10,000 still on the board. But I can tell you right now,
So we can-
it's not where it's going.
We can evaluate that. That's a decision for another day. But what we do with the two loaders, if we're gonna purchase this one or not, is germane to right
Yep.
now.
All right, I think the question is, do you want to do lease purchase or?
Or do the whole thing, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And I think that's a selectman's decision.
I think you gotta at least purchase it when we give our budget this year.
I agree with that. I think the lease
That's
purchase.
just my opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion too.
Good with that? So I'll take a motion on the 72,533. Okay, second?
Did you move?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said.
Any discussion, questions, or done? All in favor? Opposed?
Motion?
Motion to approve the loan of 72,533, lease purchase.
Motion is second, discussion. All those in favor? Vote.
And now we're going to capital equipment under $10,000. Back to the wastewater treatment facility. Looking for a crane for $4,000. This goes in the back of the truck, right?
Yeah, because the one which came with the truck already falling apart. It's rusted through.
Questions on 4,000? Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
How big's the crane?
It's rated 1,500 pounds,
How much?
1,500.
1,500?
But when we took screenings, which is pretty much like trash bin, was whatever we take like from the sewer, went to dump it at Ed's place, and the rope broke on it. The cable broke.
So is that all that's wrong with the other one, the cable?
No, not only, the base is rusted, it's already, and like, we tried, it wasn't correctly installed, we tried to lift like that barrel, and it started ripping the crane off the body.
It wasn't installed right?
No.
Why didn't we do something about it then?
Well, truck in the shop right now, but, I didn't know how it's supposed to be, I didn't look underneath, because like it was in the specs like, and you know how dealers do it, like the cheapest way possible, if you don't specify it.
Gonna have the same deal with the new one on?
No. No dealer. It will be machine shop, because they will be making special plate for it, to actually for mounting it.
You can put it on that loader we're gonna sell.
Okay. You don't want to.
Are we ready to move on?
I don't.
Ready
No,
for
they have
this?
voted on
The
the
select board
floor.
has to vote on this.
Yes, please.
Main motion to approve the 4,000.
Second.
All those in favor? Vote.
Alright. Next, we have, transfer stations looking at a golf cart, $2,500.
Can I make a motion that we consider the remaining capital expenditures under 10,000, the golf cart for 2,500, rec stairs 2,000, police vest 1,600, fire EMS airbag bottles 5,250, fire EMS turnout kit set for 8,500 as one group together.
All in favor? Second on that motion?
I second
All in favor? So now we vote on, I'm not gonna do the
Select board needs to do.
The golf cart, stairs for snack shack, ballistic vest, airbag, turnout gear all together.
19,850.
18850.
You've already done the fours.
Yeah.
take a motion of 18850.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I'll make a motion for the same.
I'll second.
Motion, you're talking about lumping them together?
Yes.
Discussion? All those in favor? The vote?
All right, now we'll go to buildings and infrastructure.
Vote on the amount, if you're gonna approve.
I'm sorry.
So we've motioned to lump them together.
18,850.
Motion by Scott, second by Sharon.
You'll want to include the crane, though.
Well, we already approved the
We
grant.
You already approved the
Crane
crane.
separate.
I need to get with the program, so.
Any discussion? All those in favor? To vote.
As we move on to facilities and infrastructure, the recycling, building wall repair is
Done.
off the
Done.
table, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like me to continue as we've been doing one at a time?
Yes,
Okay. Yep. Cemetery maintenance for 5,000 for the reserve account.
Questions, comments, motion,
Motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Motion 5,000 for the cemetery repair.
Second.
All those in favor? Vote.
Thompson Lake Dam repair reserve, 10,000.
Motion,
Move to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Make motion to approve 10,000.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote.
This is the $35,000 for the wastewater treatment plant repair reserve. This is the same one we do annually.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Make motion with 35,000 for repair.
Second.
All in favor? Vote.
$10,000 for the wastewater treatment plant pump station repair reserve, so 10,000.
Motion,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Make motion with 10,000.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor? To vote. Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Unless there's a line here that somebody's opposed to, anybody want to lump these together, or? I certainly, if there's a line that somebody's not in favor of, we should discuss that. We can vote on that and then lump whatever's together, but I'll defer to you.
I have a question about that. I don't see anything in here for the bathroom at the transfer station.
Yep, so we have, so I got some numbers. Ed was able to get a number for the actual bathroom structure, you know, the room. He was able to get that, but he's not been able to get numbers for the septic and or the holding tank, right?
I do have an update on that, Adam.
You do have a number now?
Some session called me back, we had to meet with Kingston, and we ain't allowed to put a holding tank in, but you have room to put in a sewer filter bed, so you gotta do the filter bed design and all that. He's figuring somewhere between 8 to 14,000 for the tank, cut the hole into the wall to put the pipe in, and the filter bed. But you can't come out with a complete figure till we have a design, filter bed guy come in and do the design on the filter bed. But it says we're not allowed to put a holding tank in if we have room to put a filter bed in. So
Yeah, and I did not have that information earlier, so sorry about that.
so you're gonna have to add 14 more to whatever that bathroom figure is as far as the building, and
Shouldn't we wait till we get a number, a real number?
But there's no number in here for a bathroom though.
he's got the,
So we've got, so right now what we've got in there is we've got, well is 16,000, and we had included that when we spoke the last time, and we were going to try and get some other numbers. And also we had talked, which is what we just discussed, we also discussed the idea of like a rental sink, you know, going in that direction as well. So I mean, I noted in there you've got portable sink for $160 a month and, you know, for $19.20 a year. But we can add that in there. I just, you know, again, I didn't have that number before we had this discussion. So
Where are we at, rough idea, bathroom?
So the building inside was
Yep.
5,500?
yep. So
55, 16, and 14.
Okay,
You're looking at 30.
so not that we haven't put off painting before, but I'd suggest that we leave the $25,000 there. Instead of painting the building, we put that towards the bathroom.
Yep, that's fine.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Is that a motion?
Well, let's,
We're not positive of the well that's 16 if we know it goes so far, you know. But
You can make that a motion.
sure. I'll make that a motion.
I'll
We change
second
our
it.
line. Discussion,
Change the paint to bathroom.
discussion. All those in favor? Vote.
25.
So you're just changing the paint, $25,000 paint building and change it to bathroom?
Understood. And that's a yes on the selectmen, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
So is there any other lines with any questions?
I think a motion.
I think it was Floyd and Sharon, but I'm not really.
You made the motion. I don't remember.
What's that?
I made the motion. I made the motion.
He made the
Floyd
motion, I
seconded
seconded it.
Okay.
And then all in favor?
Back to us.
So they don't have to say-
Yes.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to take the remaining items under facilities, builds, and infrastructure together.
Second on that.
Just to clarify, that excludes the building wall repair of 43.5, and it changes paint buildings to bathroom.
Right.
And I will second
All right. All in favor of including the well?
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does the 25,000, are you envisioning that includes the well as well?
No.
Includes the cost of the well?
No.
No? Okay.
No, the cost of the well separate.
Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Septic and construction.
So, moved and seconded to include, to take the next phone lines all together, excluding the building repair, the wall repair. All in favor of that? All in favor of whatever that figure is?
Yeah, move to approve it. Final amount.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
You're looking at a total of 128, 245 for that whole budget, that whole group, other than the wall.
Correct.
128, 245.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. All those in favor? Vote.
Motion to take them all together.
Yes.
We just did.
They already did that.
Do it all together.
Yep.
Okay. Now we are going down to, this is for the highway department road contingency. $100,000 for road repair contingency. I had noted in that discussion, Rabbit Valley Road, I think, is one of the areas that we're going to be, well, Jim's out there now, but we're going to need to be looking at for the drainage issues and so forth.
Is that number any realistic at all?
For Rabbit Valley Road,
No, I don't want to spend any more money because I think we're spending like drunken sailors, but you're at a 100,000 and I've been riding around a little bit. I see that pretty quick.
so can I. I mean,
That's what I'm just asking. Is it realistic?
So I have the same question you do, because after this last storm, and even before this last storm, driving on Rapid Valley, the condition of that ditch with all the cones that were there, anybody coming down into the Oxford end of it, I mean, they were gonna fall off into eternity. And then after the storm, I think that we need to do something more seriously than $100,000 is gonna take to that road.
So in speaking with Jim and looking at trying to start addressing those issues, that's where we came up with $100,000. We need to put more. We need to put money annually away for road repairs, and we felt between the highway department's road maintenance line and then this that was a step in the right direction, while also trying to be frugal at the same time. But when we look at what the engineer quoted us, but that's doing the Cadillac repairs, meaning underground drainage and so forth. It was $1 million fix to go from the casino down to the ponds. So that feels a little excessive. But Jim has also been addressing under this year's budget a lot of that drainage already, as much as he can. So.
And is this with the highway crew doing the work or contract? It is.
This is the highway crew doing the work. Jim feels confident if they're not installing underground stuff, that his crew has the ability to do that. The ditching and the culverts and the cross culverts and that kind of stuff.
Is this a section that washes out every year? Or is that-
One of them.
5 times a year.
A lot of them.
It was just really bad.
Yeah.
After this before and after this last storm, after the last 2 storms especially.
Question off the top of your head, how much money have we submitted to the feds for reimbursement? Not that there's any guarantee we're gonna get that, but.
We've had to do it for a couple of storms. I think we've got it, just off the top of my head, we've got to be getting close to $100,000 this year for the first storm and the second. I mean, it's 75 to 100, somewhere in there.
Not as much as I thought.
Yeah, that almost seems light too,
But please don't quote me on that. I mean, I can go double check, but we've been submitting to FEMA for those two. I think $100,000, I agree with you, Sharon, is a little on the light side. I don't think it would hurt us to put $250,000 in there for road repairs. I mean, $250,000. I don't think that would be an unwise decision. But I also am looking at the total of what we're discussing, not to pick on Floyd and his comment just now about what we're spending. But everything we've just talked about, we're talking about $900,000. So that's if we move forward with this $100,000 for the road. So that's all.
I think it's up to you folks to come up with a number that you think is, not to put you on the spot, but you either want to approve that number, you want to change the number, or.
And we put that, I'm fine with the number. Jim came up with that, working with Adam. It's he and his crew that's gonna be doing that work.
Right. Do you wanna make a
He knows
motion?
better than, so I'll move to approve road contingency there at 100,000.
All in favor?
Vote. So I got ahead of myself.
Yeah, the blame's gonna fall on you folks.
It's getting late. So, entertain a motion. I think we probably have discussion now.
Well, I'll make a motion for discussion purposes. Motion to approve.
Motion and a second discussion. And clearly $100,000 is a little Band-Aid on roads. I mean, we just took out a bond a couple of years ago for $2 million, and we've got 2 payments left on that. I don't, unless you're gonna put aside
We get
$500,000 a
two
year.
payments or 2 years?
Two years, this year.
Annual.
Next year.
Annual.
Yes, yes, what I thought.
So unless you're gonna put aside $500,000 a year, every year, then that just barely keeps up. So I think we're probably looking at a road bond again, just definitely not before the last one gets paid
Yeah,
off.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think the game plan was to go until we got that paid for.
Yeah.
I'm just looking like right now that I think there's an awful lot of them that need attention. You know,
Agreed.
I haven't just, probably it's a discussion we should have with Jim, but, I mean, because I don't know how they cost to build a road, I'm not gonna, but just 100,000 seems pretty light, but.
And this would be not just for Rabbit Valley, correct?
No, that's correct. This is $100,000 for him to tap into to do road repairs.
I don't see our weather going back to normal anytime soon. I think you need up 100 grand pretty easy, so. Any other discussion?
I'll make a motion. Can I make a motion now?
Sure you can.
To alter your first motion, we already have the motion and the second for the 100,000. All those in favor?
I'm doing the 100,000?
Yep. I would be in favor.
I mean, I made the motion, I guess I gotta go.
Opposed?
I don't really, I don't think that's a real number.
Opposed, Chairman? So,
2-2?
doesn't pass.
I'll
Okay,
make a
another
motion to put $250,000 in road repair.
Motion? I'll second. Second? Discussion?
I think it's a more realistic number, but I'm not sure that everybody's gonna be happy with that.
I don't know that anybody's gonna be happy with any total. All in favor? To vote? I feel that we should give you an opportunity if you want to leave it at that. Not that I want to subvert you
I don't
and
mind
make you go
I
first.
don't mind you being the bad guy. Anybody want to change it? All right.
I mean, I, on principle, don't disagree with you, and I
don't
don't
either.
oppose your number, but
You guys gonna look good.
I really prefer that you be the spending one.
Sometimes it is better to go first.
Well, we tried.
So there's no further business, right?
That concludes, I think, your business for the budget.
So do I need a motion to adjourn the budget or just leave?
I think you're good, because we're still gonna stay and work, so.
I know you are.
You can stick around for select mass meeting if you want.
Well, you know.
Do you want to do a motion to end your budget meeting and then we'll move on?
Budget meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
All in favor.
Just leave.
On a phone call away, you can eat back up.
You should show up at town meeting, huh?
I will.
Thanks to the select board, town manager, process was very smooth and really appreciate working together.
Yes, thank you very much.
Would it be okay if we took 2 minutes real quick?
Got any water?
Do you have any water, Chief?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, the new police chief can have the new tasers for my town meeting.
Are you volunteering for an example?
I've been tased before.
With the new one?
I'll be right back to show you that camera still going.
Everybody knows I'm not right anyway, so.
Is it precautionary?
Have a good night.
See ya. Thank you.
See ya. You know, before the floor.
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to?
No, I want to.
I might want to.
Yeah.
If
You
I
want
don't
to?
drink it, I'll get it back. That'll be good. Let me put one down in a hurry.
Oh, yeah, all right.
It went from like comfortable in here to.
Put the air on it.
That costs money.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If it's anything like the jail, because the heat's on and the air conditioning, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Hopefully that's gonna be resolved. We're spending enough money on that.
What? We did.
Well, we did, but it's gonna be, hey, what did we end up spending on Allen Hill?
What
Remember?
did we spend? Oh, I have to look at my paper, oh gosh, think that was one of the most expensive
I mean,
roads.
that's gonna be,
Years ago, we haven't had to fix it again.
right, I mean, I think that's the fix, is to do something like that
Yeah.
there.
Just
to do it right.
There's too many of them. I mean, there's a lot of roads
I
coming
mean,
up.
we can have the guys go out and fill the sides with gravel, and the next big storm, it's all washed away, so.
Yeah. But how effective is it too? I mean, they can only do so much work.
I agree.
And to keep them happy.
To do that big work.
Yeah. That,
It needs to go, and we need some bigger culverts.
Yeah, I think all of our, whatever size culverts are there, they just need to double, because
Some of them need their angles changed.
You guys all set to go?
I'm sure we'd empty that room. We've been on so for the last 5 years already, so.
I've seen it both ways.
Yeah, let's catch up to where we at.
So you need action on the minutes.
Action on the minutes.
Motion to accept.
that,
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? It's a vote. Adjustments to the agenda.
I have nothing, sir.
Public comment.
I just couldn't think of anything else you could spend money on. I mentioned it.
Still early, still early. We did 6-1, we did 6-2, 6-3 abatement, Helen Morris. Count 533.
Recommends denial.
So moved.
yep.
Thank you.
Scott made the motion, right? I'll second the motion for discussion whenever anybody's ready, if there is any.
What's on that for building there?
On Mrs. Marsh's property?
On Mars,
Yeah, they're vacant lots.
the island doesn't have any buildings on it at all?
She's not the island.
Well, he was calling it Kobe's Island.
Yeah, that's David Morris. Are we doing Helen Morris or David Morris?
Helen Morris.
Helen.
Helen.
Oh, maybe that's why I'm wrong, huh?
David Morse is the next one.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's two separate ownership there. I was confused too.
Screwed up last time.
So Helen Morris is just land.
Yes.
Sorry, one from last week, sir?
Yeah.
Yep, that one will be on next Thursday.
Okay.
Some follow-up information that's available then, so, yeah.
Need to make these shorter, don't I? So just a question, I guess. If I'm missing something. And maybe it's in here somewhere too. But for me, I would like to see lot size, value now, value then, and why you're denying it.
Second page. Just gonna show you the lot size, the prior evaluation, and then comparable properties. First column, the property in question.
You know what I'm thinking is, I think that when those are double-sided, it's confusing. I think we need to do them single-sided.
I actually don't like double-sided.
I hate double-sided. Would that be helpful if I start doing these single-sided?
Maybe everybody else is okay with it.
No, I agree with you. I'm not arguing
Just
that.
depends, I mean, there's a lot in here that,
Do you want my copy? It's single-sided.
does that have everything you were looking for?
Second. That's what we're waiting for, right?
No, we're waiting, I was just waiting for acknowledgement that
This is
people ready to
discussion.
discuss.
Oh.
It's already been motioned and seconded. Any discussion? If you need further time to review, shake your head. I don't see any need to further discuss, so all those in favor of the denial? To vote. 6.4, abatement for David Morse. Assessing agent recommends denial. Pretty much all the same info as before, the prior case, for the most part.
Well, I did an analysis of everything that we could deny on property to show where it fit in the scheme.
That's right, this one's an island.
Yeah, does that one has buildings on it?
It has a camp, yes. I don't have a way to get out there unless we see another boat ride in our future.
Boat trip.
Oh, yeah, tonight, we'll put one of them in there, no problem.
Boat
So
trip.
what's the size of the lot? He thought that it was less than half an acre. I used a couple of sources and I actually mapped it out. It's just like good with the GIS tools. And it was, so the lot officially is like 0.74 acres or 0.75, somewhere in there. And when I mapped it using a GIS, which is not accurate enough for a survey, but it was like 0.73, 0.74. So it was actually very close. I told him if he needed to, if he thought that an adjustment in the acreage needed to be done, then he would have to actually pay for service. So is there an adjustment here because it's on an island?
It already was factored into by the KRP appraisal.
Okay.
Well, it would be different for you, but I did do a matrix of island values for the town of Oxford. That's in there, that analysis.
Is that this?
Yes. Mr. Morris wasn't happy, but he appreciated the due diligence, as he said.
So this is the Colby Island one where it's 0.75 acres and value is 178.9. Correct? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll make a motion on the denial.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. You need further time to... All those in favor of the motion? Deny, or opposed? 3-1. Chair and opposed. 6.5, abatement for Mary Ann and John Maven, account 121. See, approval.
Yeah, recommends approval, 3482.
Oh, yep, I see. Sorry.
Sorry, let me just speak for you.
I know it looked different, so I was looking for it. Motion to approve.
Motion, Scott?
Motion by Mr. Hunter,
Seconded for discussion.
second. Discussion. All those in favor? It's a vote. 6.6, abatement for Andrew and Catherine Thompson, account 410, $467.28. To approve. Motion by Mr. Hunter,
Seconded.
seconded by Sharon Jackson. By noes. Discussion, all in favor? Vote. 6.7, abatement for Ernest and Jessica Fitz, account 15, in the amount of $788.48. Assessing agent recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? To vote. 6.8, abatement for Charles and Emily Williams, account 3169, in the amount of $206.80.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? To vote. Supplemental abatement for Alberta Dampier, account 1179, in the amount of $266.26. Assessing agent recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? To vote. Supplemental for Jason Vitale Senior, account 1192, in the amount of $57.20.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor? It's a vote. Supplemental for Donald Gwine, account 3002, in the amount of $697.84. Assessing agent recommends approval. I think.
Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Hunter. I'll second.
Oh, okay.
All those in favor? Vote. That's it for the abatements. Town manager report.
I assume
Hopefully it's brief.
I assumed you all have heard me talk enough tonight, so I was.
I hope you got a good one. I waited for this and you ain't got over the wall.
The short one, rather short.
You want to discuss his evaluation?
Sure, yeah, we can do, let's do
That's
that.
what I was
That's a
hoping.
good plan.
I was ready for it.
Hopefully the room will be done for the next meeting. I'll keep you posted. I will.
Selectmen items? Nothing. Sign warrants?
Make sure you file in the right spot. They come looking, you know, like Donald Trump, they might think you've got it stored. You only got it stored in yourself down the stores.
Thank you. These are all of your abatements and supplementals here as well.
We'll start over there. Does that work? Jesus, I don't see a signature tab here.
Should be right on the top, doesn't it?
Doesn't mean it doesn't get a tab, come on.
No.
This one's got a tab, it's right on the top. All right,
That's what happens
throwing me off.
when Wendy's not here one night, right?
See, I'm not even gonna ask if you're blaming Wendy or blaming the replacement.
Oh.
I never touched the wall.
Well, they always have tabs when Wendy doesn't. Apparently, Adam filled in first.
Take a big shoulder.
We started at 5.
That's why we started at 5.
Just at 3.
I would be very supportive of selectmen's meetings at 3 in the afternoon. If anybody cares to
Ain't
know.
happening, Kevin.
If you'd ever retire, you could probably do that. That one doesn't have a tab. So
There's a test.
I'm not
I think I have the paper.
So if it doesn't have a tab, is that a copy or is that?
Why don't we,
I'll
Well,
verify.
Yeah, let's double check before we.
Name was changed effective
That one's got additional pages.
What do you need? I'll get you. You want my original? You can have that too, if you want that.
Long one.
Alright, so this one, just has the one and this, the chair and Mr. Hunter both. He's done this,
I think some of the stuff is missing now.
Does everyone else?
She's got paper cups in 2 different spots. You got some paper clip together on this one and then another paper clip.
I mean, I think we
Well,
Does this
wasn't a
usually some, no.
Okay.
So there's separate, I mean, you can pick it separate.
Well, we just say, into it. You know, we put it in there. You can ask her. Yeah, I don't know what yours back.
I want a stamp.
So, can I ask a question?
You got steamy, yes, of course.
So Floyd and I were just talking, I'm gonna bring him in.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, use my name, go ahead.
So, is there any reason why we couldn't have a separate selectmen's meeting and a separate assessors meeting? So that you could do the assessors work
I
separately?
just think that when you put two of them together, I think like tonight, it
Especially when there's
takes
a
a little bit of
law.
the confusion out of it.
Yeah.
We just need to do the budget tonight, no?
So, of course, you guys can do it that way if you want to. Traditionally, since I've been here, you folks haven't, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think it was pages that weren't tabbed. David Morris is the one you were opposing.
Typically, you folks have not wanted to do separate ones, but we have so many abatements because of the reval. But if you'd like to start doing them separately, I will do that.
Well, no, it's just that then if you got everybody right on the ring, you know, hey, maybe even try to talk them into voting on it, the night we take it up and, well, everybody's got it in their
You
mind.
mean for the budget?
Yeah.
I would love to see that happen. I don't know why we have to table everything.
No.
Because traditionally, that's what they did and nobody likes change.
Well, it used to be too.
They didn't always do it that way.
No, I don't know if it's, I'm thinking here or in town, but usually the budget committee votes a separate night than the select board. Is that how you did that here originally? I was here.
That's how, we didn't used to meet together. When I
No.
was on the budget committee, we didn't meet together.
So-
It started,
No, we go, they wanted the selectmen to go to the meeting.
Yeah, we would go to
It was
the
their
meetings, but
meeting,
it-
and
right.
we approved it afterwards, but
Yeah.
it's just that when you're doing it, just putting it all on the card or whatever, and then coming back and redoing it, I don't know. Seems like when you hash it out, that there's time to do it.
I would certainly prefer that they vote on the same night that they review the budget. It would make the most sense.
Yeah,
But
we could have cut one meeting right out.
I think that we probably could have saved a lot of time. But at the same time, we started this whole process of doing them jointly when I started here. And it seemed up until this year, it seemed like a pretty smooth process.
I like doing it jointly because everybody hears the same explanation.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea to do that. But like tonight, we had a selectmen's meeting, a budget committee meeting, and we have several assessor items because of all of the abatements. So it just makes it a whole lot.
Well, in the future, Sharon, after tonight, there won't be a budget items, so I mean, it will be shorter.
Right.
So maybe that's the consideration for next
Another
cycle.
year. I mean, that's
Is
not-
to, yeah, to make sure that on the nights we're doing budget, there's no other business items to contend with. Unless they're like an emergency or something. If that's,
I don't wanna start this one over again.
I think there's pros and cons of doing it together.
Yeah.
I don't feel we get the independent votes, budget committee, selectmen, when we do everything together, start to finish. But it does save a lot of time. It saves a lot of time for you, it saves a lot of time for the department heads, rather than having two meetings. I don't know what the fix is. It's what everybody, the majority prefers to do. I don't think we get a good representation of independent voting when we do it together like that, when we vote
I
together.
agree with that. I really do.
You're not sitting here listening, you're not, because there's just such a difference between what you're talking about. But if you are separate, they'll get theirs together, and you'll get yours together. And then the reality is, we've always presented it to the town, both positions, and they voted on it, it's their decision, so.
So let's think about maybe rather than, and we do park it, continue to park it as we go, but we meet together, we have the presentations, and then at the end, there's, budget committee's gonna vote one night, selectmen will meet and vote another night.
I think that makes
Presentations are all done
sense.
together.
All together. Yep.
Just a suggestion, we can think about it, we got a year.
And I think the problem too is combining the selectmen's meeting with the budget committee meeting.
Well, it's something we need to work on. I mean, we have a chair of that group and we have a chair of this group, but we're meeting together, so you really don't, you probably shouldn't have two chairs. But you have what you have, unless we, together, you know, the five of us and the 6 or 7 of them all vote, we're gonna have one chair for this meeting.
Well,
And if it's a budget committee member, it's a budget committee member.
Maybe
If it's a
I'm
select
not-
board member, it's a select board member.
that's not how I want to explain it. A joint budget committee meeting that is just a budget committee meeting, do not include the selectmen's meeting in with that budget committee meeting.
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I was saying.
But it's still additional meetings. If we have business we have to conduct, so we're gonna have to have a selectmen's meeting, so unless we do it on a different night. I mean, we've tried to do budget stuff first and then we move in. There was a reason we did tried to do the two items first. And I think everybody understood that, minus one person, so.
There was some sort of degree of difficulty with there, I believe.
Well, I don't need, I'm not gonna speak for Henry.
And I don't want to be, and I'm not trying to speak ill of anybody, but the agendas are drafted for these meetings as a selectmen's meeting. This is a selectmen's meeting, and one of the agenda items is the workshop with the budget committee. So, the reason that it's drafted that way is so that it remains a selectmen's meeting, so that ultimately the chairman of the select board is the one running the meeting. That's my thought process.
So previously, when I served on the budget committee and I was chair, we had our budget committee meetings. The select board was there behind us, and they weren't, they weren't
We just listened.
That's all, unless the chairman
Of the
offered
budget
or
committee.
asked them, of the budget committee, asked somebody from the select board to speak. Then the budget committee went ahead and did their voting, and so the select board was there to hear the presentations, but they voted separately later without the budget committee there. That's how we did it for the entire time.
And
When I
we-
served on the budget committee and I turned out.
I think we can improve it. I think we need to look at our rules and what we're gonna do. I like the idea of meeting together, going through with all the department heads, having the budget presented to us, and then having 2 separate nights to vote. That
Maybe
being
do it on
said,
that.
when we meet together, we're either gonna do budget committee or we're gonna do select.
Yeah.
If it's a joint meeting, it's a joint meeting, and I think, the more I think about it, I think we should, all the members that are here, board members on both sides, we vote in a chair of that joint meeting, and that's who runs the meeting.
So let me add this to it. when we have a joint budget and select board meeting, I think it's the town manager I think we should consider that, having the town manager moderate the budget committee and select board meeting. So I'm just gonna add this because I've been a manager in 3 other towns. Currently, right now, I am. So where I am, we have a joint budget committee meeting and a select board meeting. And it is not the same night as the selectmen's meeting. We all sit in a circle like this, and all of the department heads are there, and they present. And both the budget committee and the selectmen have an opportunity to ask any questions they want. So it's like we're one committee. But it's not in the middle of a selectmen's meeting, it's not at the end of it, that's the only thing we're doing that night. And then each can have their own vote. But I think, and I did that 10 years, that's how I did it in Freiburg too. But one thing they didn't want to do in Freiburg is they didn't want to vote at the same night. And it ended up being a very cordial meeting. But the, if the chair is, and actually is the manager, I think that's another option to look at too. And then one of the committees don't feel like they're the one in charge, and it's their meeting, not a joint meeting.
I'm good with that. It's just, there needs to be one person in charge. There needs to be
No,
one person to say,
Yep.
it's your turn to speak, it's your turn to speak.
Yep, I agree.
Whether it's the town manager, I don't know if we want to put that on the town manager, but.
Prior to here, what Sharon's describing is exactly how I've done it in prior towns.
I'm good with that too.
Usually in the beginning of the meeting, the budget committee and the select board would, I don't want to say, they would make a motion to turn the meeting over to the town manager. The town manager would run over everything, and when the town manager was done with business, he would ask for a motion to adjourn, and it would be over. One of the reasons that we started doing the meetings on Thursday nights is in my first cycle through, when I first started was too many nights of meetings, so we tried to combine it together. And I think the 2 takeaways I'm kind of feeling, I guess, the member that brought it up isn't here this evening. The takeaway that I'm kind of feeling like is maybe what if we looked at doing joint budget selectmen's meetings for budget items only, maybe it's on Tuesday nights or something like that.
Sure.
And then we continue with our selectmen's business on the 1st and 3rd Thursdays, but they stay on separate nights. When we get to the end of the budget committee has their final meeting, they vote on their own. You guys, your selectmen's meetings that follows that last budget meeting, you guys vote, and then we're all done. That would be a simple way to do it, I would think.
Yep.
But I do like the joint meetings because I do feel, from my perspective, I feel like there's really good discussion that happens in this room, and I feel like they get to hear what you guys think and vice versa, and I don't have to have the department heads here 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah.
That's the thought.
You need to get more people on this budget committee too.
We had a bigger number once upon a time, we couldn't fill the seats.
I know.
And we can't fill the seats now with a smaller number.
I'm telling you that you're not getting, you're okay, but the taxpayers aren't getting the representation from the budget committee that they should be getting. And
I would agree, and I would agree that the town doesn't get the representation from the taxpayers at town meeting either.
Nope.
So it's hard to, we can't get people to turn out for that. We can't get 7 people to commit to the budget committee and stay here. I mean, it's hard. I get it.
And
At some point,
it's
can
the
we
same
consider a council form?
that
Say
would
no,
require a
no,
vote
no,
of the
but-
people though, and a change of government if you did that.
Hmm?
That would require a total change in the government that would have to be voted on
Right.
by the legislative body. But then you have to look at the pros and cons of a council versus selectmen, because the council, if you have a town council, they vote on everything, and then the citizens have no say. there's no town meeting where the budget is voted on by the town. Because the town council,
Is your governing body.
that's your governing body, and they vote on the budget and not the people. So you're taking that away from the people.
They don't use it here.
Right, they don't come anywhere.
I mean,
Colleen, go ahead.
the way we were able to get more people interested in the process and to get more people to vote was instead of doing a Saturday town meeting, which is what my other town had done, is we went to a paper ballot and we saw tremendous response from the community.
Hey, now, speaking of that, now, didn't we vote that that might be something that we brought up at town meeting this year? How did that ever?
We did, we said.
It was gonna be in the town, in the
But it will
warrant,
be
correct?
at the town meeting whether they decide to continue town meetings
Right.
or go to a ballot.
So that is gonna be in it this year.
Yes, you wanted a warrant article that would poll the body on
Yeah.
whether or not they wanted that
Yeah.
for the following
Okay.
town
All
meeting.
right, I'd almost forgotten it.
Nope. I've heard it.
And we all know how that's gonna go.
How's it gonna go?
Because the people that turn out to town meeting want to go to town meeting. And they're gonna be the ones that are gonna vote on it, and that's how it should be.
Well, not
Oh.
necessarily, it would.
I thought we were gonna put it on the ballot.
We're putting it on the warrant.
Oh, on the warrant to be voted on at
Adam?
I
town
thought we were
meeting.
gonna put it on the ballot.
I can check my notes, but I'm pretty clear that
Check
my
my notes.
instructions were to put it on the town meeting warrant
We're putting
for
it on
open
the town
floor.
meeting warrant to decide whether we're gonna put it on the ballot in future years.
I think we were gonna put it on the ballot.
I think the town manager can look it up and.
Yeah.
I go back and look at my notes.
And you'll be apologizing tomorrow.
There's no need to apologize when you're wrong. You're just wrong.
You guys might want to
You gotta adjourn.
adjourn before you leave.
Oh, we
I
are.
adjourned it?
What about-
Just quit and leave.
What about the, did you vote on the
Motion to
Yeah.
approve.
Knock the TV up there. I can't believe it.
83, 84, 85, 86, 87?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor? Vote. Floor.
Vote to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Colleen, I have one question for you.
Too ready to get out of here.